What's up? So, um, if you get this link, it means you got invited to do uh, homeless outreach, June 23rd, 6:30 to really whenever. I'll just say 8:30. I just wanted to give a quick video about like my background, why I got into barbering, why I got into doing outreach for homeless people, and so 2017, I'm like poor, broke, at barber school. Uh, I lose my job in January, or no, February, but start barber school in January. So I'm like, I show up to barber school, broke, hungry, gas tank on fumes. After school, I'm working to get tips, right? All my tips going to my gas tank or my stomach, and and either I'm sleeping in my car or crashing at somebody's house. And after school, I got to rush, leave school to go over south to go to this soup kitchen to eat food and to get a quick meal. And after a while, just to get something in my stomach for the day, a meal for the day. And I started meeting all these people who were homeless, and they lived at the shelters in the area. And Loaves and Fishes, that's what it was. And I started making friends with these people. And I'm saying these people, like, they were no different than me or you. They just didn't have a place to live. Some of them battled with mental illnesses. Some of them battled with addiction. Some of them with disease. And so, but you start to make friends. I think sometimes you get put in certain situations to humble you. Sometimes, like, and at that point in time in my life, like, I look at the barber industry and we got all these celebrity barbers, and nothing against them, but all my point was this: like, I wanted to be something amazing, but it humbled me because I realized people in this world needed a friend, and it takes somebody to be humble. And so at that point, I never had a problem. Like, if somebody had mental illnesses or disabilities or whatever, like, somebody got to cut their hair. And so I'm meeting these people and building friendships, and I'm like, you need your haircut? I'm free. I got food in my stomach. I'm feeling generous, right? And just thankful to be alive and have food and enough tips to put gas in my car to get back to school, right? And so I end up starting cutting hair at the homeless shelter around the corner from the soup kitchen. And every night I would cut like 10 people's hair. I probably get like 2 cuts, 3 cuts at barber school, when we was back on Hilltop. And so that night I would cut like hair twice a week. And you meet so many different people. Well, eventually, I had to leave school because I had a job. I got a job, so I couldn't technically be poor and broke. I had to choose between barber school or, you know, going back working and supporting my daughter. And that process led to like a lot of different outreaches. And so fast forward last year, after the riots and George Floyd, I ended up meeting a doctor who became a really good friend, and he ended up quitting his job because in the middle of the riots, he was like, yo, the people in South Minneapolis don't have pharmacies. They don't have, any clinics are shut down or burned down. He said, these people, they're people, right? He's a white guy. And he's like, no, South Minneapolis is so diverse. He's like, these people need like their prescription. Like, you can only last maybe a day or 2 or 3 days without diabetes medication. Simple. And he told his job, like, we need to be going. The hospital he worked at in Edina was like, no. Not only do we have too many doctors, but we're actually going to pay doctors to stay at home and be safe. And he's like, I quit. So he started going to the riots. He started going to George Floyd Square and like doing first aid and outreach. And he had an idea of going into the homeless encampments, but he kind of just needed someone to like watch his back. That's where we connected. So this doctor and me and this doctor would go to these homeless encampments, check on people. I just looked like his security, and there's times that we would, at that point in time, we'd see people in addiction. We'd see people in sex trafficking. Like, we would see people and various like psychosis and mental illnesses, and this doctor, would faithfully go and serve these people, and I watched it firsthand. There was this one time that we kept running across this girl and she was staying in a tent with a guy, and it was getting cold. It snowed a few times, and we had looked, we had talked or whatever, and one day she said, "I need help." And we're like, "Well, what's up?" She's like, "I'm trying to get out of this life. I don't know what to do, but I'm ready to go." She was living in a tent with a guy who was using her, selling her, and then getting the money, buying drugs, and keeping her kind of leashed down to that life. And so, the thing is, while we were in these homeless encampments, I remember people would overdose all the time. People we would see one day would overdose. I remember the doctor would, this is going to be graphic, but it's sobering. This older woman, she got out the hospital and is living in a homeless encampment. And she had like a bag in her stomach, like a colostomy bag. And she ran out of the bag, so it was just a hole in her stomach. And she would just lay in this tent, hopeless for like, whatever, and then do like mixed drugs, right? And for days. And this doctor, I'm with him in this, seeing this with him, and he'd like, "Look, if you don't go get this checked out, like at an actual hospital, like I could prescribe, I can write prescriptions, you need bags and you need this and you need that, otherwise you're not gonna make it past tomorrow." This doctor would look people in the eyes and be like, "You're not gonna live past tomorrow if you don't fix this." And yeah, and there's many times. So then after a while, like, we would not see people, but we'd see a bunch of tents, but less people. And I, with this doctor, would be taking a knife and cutting open tents to see if there's like a dead body in this tent, yo. And so it just goes to show like how much need there is in our city, how much need there is in just the world, like it's a lot of grimy, dark, evil shit going on, but it don't cost that much to do something good. People be like, combat terrorism, combat racism, combat whatever you like, a lot, but that requires us to get off our ass and go do something nice. People get all bashful because I sweep up the floor, but honestly, it's so much dark shit. Let me just sweep up your hair, do something good, So I don't know. But going back to this girl that we met, I ended up building a relationship with this organization doing outreach, because we would meet people, they'd have needs. I don't have a house to house women trying to get out of prostitution and sex trafficking. I don't have a house to house men in addiction. I don't have that. I'm not a doctor. And so what I would do is reach out to different organizations and see what we can do. And one organization, Breaking Free, we're like, we'll take her. As soon as yes, we'll take her today. How rare is that? And so we meet her, we run across her again, and she's like, "I'm ready to go." So me and this doctor are just sitting there, and there's so much stuff going on. Like, we in somebody else's hood, we in somebody else's neighborhood, we in so many different people and what they're doing. Like, I don't need to know all your business. People already think I'm like undercover police anyway, right? And so we just sitting ducks, just waiting for this girl to pack up her bag so we can basically steal her away to, somewhere else. And certain people might feel a certain type of way about that, It is what it is. And so she gets ready and we're going, and we got to bring her to like this medical facility to do detox. And she's terrified. We're at the door of like the beginning of something brand new, and she has her hand on the door and she's like, "I'm scared." And we're like, "Well, why?" And she's like, all my friends do drugs, and going through detox, some people don't survive. Like, some people die in detox. And the process is she stays in a medical facility for about 3 to 5 days, maybe a week, and let the drugs like seep out of her body, right? Let her body detox the drugs and dependency on it. Some people don't make it, and she's like, "I don't know anybody who's not on drugs. I don't know anybody who's not in this lifestyle, and in order for me to start this means I have to be alone and by myself." And sometimes just having someone to walk through a difficult ass time is enough to help you make a different decision in your life to move forward. And so even me, like, while I was in barber school, it was hard, bro. Terry would get on my nerves. Oh man, hard. But the fact that there was other people going through what I was going through, and I could just bond and connect and meet people. I'm talking about people from other countries, people that didn't speak English, broken English, became friends for life just because what we went through. And so, you know, I think we got the perfect opportunity to do something great and bless some people, you know. And yeah, I think it's a perfect opportunity. Anyways, I just wanted to share my background. If you got any questions, let me know. But that organization that said they would take her in is an organization that we are partnering with. Also, if you know any like cosmetologists, I mean, it's primarily women, but there is some men or young men or children that they have. And so cosmetologists, hairstylists, looking for that as well, nail techs, let me know.